Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, the FA Cup final is tomorrow.
Wembley. Yes, Wembley will be either resounding in red or blue. It is Arsenal versus Chelsea. It is the Gooners taking on the Lions, the Blue Lions. Is that what they're called?
Chelsea.
It's Chelsea. The rampant Russians. Look, not the final we predicted to have.
No.
In fairness, we did sort of say the United-Chelsea game is going to be a toss-up. You were definitely saying Chelsea were looking very dangerous. I think everyone wrote off Arsenal.
Yeah.
And to their dismay, or to everyone else's dismay, Arsenal got the job done against City, something they haven't got done for a very, very long time. And fair play to them for doing it as well.
Yeah. So, obviously, on today's show, we're going to be discussing tomorrow's FA Cup final because I know United aren't in it, but I'm still buzzing to watch it. We're also going to be going over the Energized team of the season, player of the season, manager of the season, signing of the season, and lastly, flop of the season. So if you are new to the show, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss an Energized show. So Ross, tomorrow, Saturday, 5:30, Arsenal take on Chelsea. What are you expecting from this?
Well, first of all, whoever I say is going to win, you should back the other team because that seems the way it seems to be the way it's going at the moment.
Very energized, man. That's very.
We have two very inexperienced managers competing for their first ever trophy as a manager. You have Mikel Arteta for Arsenal and Frank Lampard for Chelsea. Two midfield maestros, two masters of their own craft. It's going to be very, very interesting. Arsenal, their frailty seems to be a lot at the back these days. I don't even know who their best centre-half partnership is. I must say Martinez in goals ever since he's come in has been absolutely phenomenal. Kieran Tierney looks very good there for them as well. So, they're sort of staples at the back that Arsenal must have in. Chelsea are also quite frail at the back at times. I mean, Zuma and Rudiger, I don't know if that partnership has been solidified yet. Alonso's not the best. Kep has the worst save percentage in Premier League history, and he looks like he's been dropped for Willy Caballero. And their main man at the back is Azpilicueta. I think he's like their rock. You know you're getting a decent performance out of him all the time. Yeah. Barry, tell us about the midfield and the attackers on either side.
You start off with Arsenal first, so I'll start off with Arsenal as well. I don't really know what to say about Arsenal midfield as well. The way...
Pointless.
Yeah. The way they're chopping and changing a lot, that's something that Arteta's definitely going to have to look into. I would have thought Guendouzi was one of their best midfielders, and he's after falling out of favour ever since that incident on Brighton. But obviously, Mikel Arteta was a centre mid when he was playing, so I'm sure he'll know one or two players to pick up in the summer. So, winning this game is extremely important because if they've no European football, the likelihood of them getting top players drops a lot. But
who would you pick, Barry, if you were Mikel Arteta for your midfield three
for the final?
Yeah,
I'll put Torreira in centre defensive midfielder. I think Xhaka has slightly improved. So
I think he's upped his game the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I'm not. Why do you think he has done that?
Maybe because they've taken the captaincy off him, and that was too much pressure on his shoulders, and he doesn't have to worry about being the captain anymore, and he can just concentrate on playing his game. Yeah,
but also no fans there as well to be get out of our club.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that takes a lot of pressure off certain players.
And who's the third midfielder then?
I would have liked Guendouzi in there.
For me personally, I'd go for Ceballos. I think he's actually a bit of creativity to him. Now he's been lost in a few games and never seen it all, but the last few games that Arsenal have got the win over Liverpool and Man City, he's been quite crucial to them.
Yeah, and then they're coming up against a Chelsea team who's probably the best in midfield. That's where I think they're the strongest. Obviously, Kante will be missing. He has been back training, but he won't. I doubt he'll be fully fit to play. Kovacic has actually been good this season. I was never a big fan of him, but he is improving. And then I think Billy Gilmore is out as well. But since he got those massive rave reviews, he hasn't really gone again.
He's a bit light as well, I think.
Yeah, maybe maybe he could do it a loan move.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be either Barkley or Loftus-Cheek and then Mason Mount as a definite starter.
Yeah. Before we get to the attack, Ross, I was thinking about this before we recorded the show. Who has actually had a better season as a manager between Chelsea and Arsenal? Now, put it this way: if Arsenal then win an FA Cup, does that mean Arteta's had a better season than Lampard?
No, I would back Lampard just based on the fact that Chelsea couldn't sign anyone, so he could not buy anyone. He lost Hazard, who's the Chelsea talisman, and
Yeah.
by far and large, maybe the best player they've ever had at the club. Definitely, there's an argument for it. It's probably Lampard or Hazard.
Talent-wise, definitely.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I mean, he brought through the youth. He brought Mason Mount back with from Derby with him. He gave Billy Gilmore running the team. Trusted Tammy Abraham up front. Like, they're all things that no Chelsea manager has ever done.
Yeah,
They've all got them out, sent out the young fellas, and brought in the names.
Yeah, but he still had all them players at his disposal, whereas Arteta is after going into a squad that was in absolute disarray, and he's kept the likes of Ozil out of the team as well. So Arteta's actually done more with a lot less talented squad than Lampard has done.
You could easily argue that as well, but I just think not being able to get the centre halves in any sort of unity whatsoever. I mean, like, David Luiz is World Cup winner, Champions League winner, Premier League winner.
I think Europa League winner as well.
Yeah, Europa League winner. Socrates is, like, he played for Borussia Dortmund. Like, Kolasinac is an absolute warrior. I mean, and then Rob Holding and Chambers are both young fellas as well. You know what I mean? Like, looking to make a stamp. And there's 5 centre halves there. And Mustafi, World Cup winner as well. And you can't find any two of them that will fit whatsoever. And I think at times there's definitely been team selections where, like, you look at Arsenal team selection going, that's a bit bizarre. That makes sense. In fact, we're not there in the changing room. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what sort of issues he's had with players before. But yeah, he's definitely had a lot less to work with. But Arsenal were nearly going to finish in 10th until they won the last game of the season, and they finished in 8th. And, like, that's still their worst points tally and their worst finish in Premier League history.
So do you think even if Arteta wins the FA Cup, he'll have had a worse season than Lampard?
I think if he wins the FA Cup, I'd almost call it level. Because at the end of the day, Chelsea next season will be playing Champions League and Arsenal will be playing Europa League.
That's another thing before we get into the attackers, Ross. If Arsenal lose, they will have no European football next year. Now, some Arsenal fans will be like, "Oh, that's grand. We'll then focus solely on the Premier League." But they miss out on massive amounts of revenue, and also players that want to challenge themselves will want to play in some sort of European competition. And then Aubameyang, I don't think Aubameyang is going to be happy to go a year without European football as well.
Especially at the age he's at as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he will be either. But one thing I will say is Arteta will almost be under more pressure next season if they don't have Europa League football to finish in the top 4, because they have no excuse not to finish in the top 4 then. You're not playing European football. And then he will be expected to make a very strong League Cup and FA Cup run.
Yeah. So,
as opposed to if the Europa League is almost like, oh, well, we had all those games on Thursdays, it took it out of us.
Yeah, well, Aubameyang is back scoring goals. Like, Saka is after signing a new contract. He's now number 7.
Lacazette scored a few goals.
Yeah, there is something happening with that front three. And then if you look over at Chelsea's, the way, like, Pulisic is probably Chelsea's most influential player right now. Giroud's back amongst the goals. Who do you expect will fire more on tomorrow?
To be honest, I actually expect Chelsea to get the one up on this one. Obviously, they know David Luiz, and he's probably going to start. They'll know where his weaknesses are. On top of that, Giroud's been at Arsenal, so, like, he knows those defenders as well. I could definitely see Giroud scoring a goal. Pulisic looks like a little genie. He's almost like Eden Hazard reincarnated. And then I don't know if Willian's going to play the final or not, but, like, Willian is such a good player. And as a free agent, I think a lot of the Premier League teams should be clamouring to try and get his signature.
Yeah, and then Pedro's leaving as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a last game for a few players for Chelsea. But Ross, let's call it now. Who is winning the FA Cup final tomorrow, and what score will it be?
I think it's going to be 2-1 to Chelsea.
I actually think it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal. I know they lost before in Baku, and we both actually backed Arsenal to win in the Europa League final last year, but I think it's just there's so much riding on Arsenal to play in the European competition next year, and these players will definitely want to be in it. Whereas I think Chelsea are still going to be looking, can they progress to the next round in the Champions League? So I actually think Arsenal are going to do it.
Well, there you go. At least one of us will be right.
It can't be a draw. It's not the Lions tour. But let us know in the comments who you think will win. Is it going to be Arsenal or is it going to be Chelsea? Because we're both going 2-1, but you're going Chelsea, I'm going Arsenal. All right, Ross. Team of the season. The Premier League is finally over. We didn't put out a show on Monday, but today, team of the season. Who would you start in goal?
I would start Nick Pope for Burnley. I think he had 13 clean sheets. He's a big man in goal. And if you look at Burnley, I think they finished 9th or 10th. You know, to be up there for most clean sheets at a team like Burnley, I think is extremely impressive.
I would have thought Alisson would be a great show.
I actually thought Alisson as well, but when I looked at the stats on Alisson, David De Gea actually had a better save percentage this season than Alisson has. Look, he's a great goalkeeper, can't deny it, but yeah, I have to also admit he's had a hell of a lot less to do.
Yeah, he definitely has had less to do. But like, say if you were starting your career mode in FIFA or in Football Manager, who would you sign, Pope or Alisson?
Oh no, I definitely sign Alisson. I'm not saying Pope is a better goalkeeper, but I'm saying Pope had a better season.
All right, and then we'll go. Are we going to go 4-4-3?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Sorry, 4-3-3.
4-3-3.
Okay, so right back, Ross. Who are you going for?
There can only be one. This season it was Trent Alexander-Arnold's season.
Yeah.
I think he racked up 13 assists. Like, adding that trick of the free kicks to his Arsenal has been absolutely insane. He's probably the best right back in the world. And if you were, put it this way, to say what you just said there, if you were like starting a brand new franchise, NFL draft style, Trent Alexander-Arnold will be one of the top 5 picks in the world for age and talent.
First of all, he's 21. He's won the league. He's won the Champions League. Those like World Club Championship trophies, I don't really like count them.
No one cares about them really.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You only care when you win it, but like it's not the best teams in the world playing them.
Yeah, it's yeah. So like, put it this way, he's been to a Champions League final. He's then the next year he's won the Champions League. He's won the league. 21. He can score goals. He can cross the ball. Like, so it reminded me of Dave Beckham for one of the most recent goals that he set up for Firmino. How much is he worth, Ross, and how good do you think he's going to be?
You know what? He's probably worth in around 150 million. Because if you think about a right back that you're going to have for the next 10 years, you know what I mean? Someone of his caliber, you're almost paying 15 million a year for him for the next 10 years, and he probably is worth 150 million. The only thing is, it's going to be very hard to pry him from Liverpool's grasps as he is from Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't see him leaving. So we can both agree on that. I think honourable mention for Wan-Bissaka, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, he started the season well, ended the season well, whereas Aaron Wan-Bissaka faded off. But England have 2 very good right backs there as well, so like it's going to be a bright future right back.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so we'll go into the centre back positions, Ross.
Well, I think one name that's definitely easy to put on the team sheet is Virgil Van Dyke. I think he was an absolute monster this year. You could easily argue that he should have been, player of the season?
Yeah.
He's an absolute Goliath defender at Liverpool. He'd be my first choice. My second choice would actually be Soyuncu for Leicester City. He was missing their last 5 or 6 games, or 3 or 4 games. He got sent off. And he's probably, due to him missing those games, Leicester aren't playing Champions League football next season. He was very, very good all season, very aggressive in the tackle, excellent in the air, and he even bagged 1 or 2 goals himself.
Is there anyone
what
else?
about you, Basmo? Your centre halves?
Van Dijk, he's just so good. Have you noticed as time's gone on, people that are younger obviously play FIFA or Pro Evolution, and they always want to score goals or do the fancy tricks. So therefore, people when they're kids, they're like, I want to play up front. So like it seems like the craft of being a centre back, it's becoming less and less. But Virgil Van Dyke is definitely, I think he's the best centre back in the world. Like I know Sergio Ramos will be up there as well, but he's a bit older and it wouldn't be worth as much as Virgil Van Dyke. I think Van Dyke he's been Liverpool's best player this year. I'd argue Mane as well, but Van Dyke is just an absolute Rolls Royce centre back. But Soyuncu, that's not a bad shout. Is there anyone else that you thought might be up there challenging? Man United fans might say Harry Maguire.
You know what? Manchester United, as much as people like to criticise their defence, actually had the most clean sheets in all competitions across 5 top leagues. I thought, he's had a good season, but he's also been very key in some mistakes for Manchester United that I almost think takes him out of the team. Other people who had great seasons, both Burnley centre halves, Tarkowski and Ben Mee. People are going to think I'm a Burnley fan after this video. John Egan for Sheffield United had a brilliant season. I think he has a shout, a push there. And then Lewis Dunk at Brighton I thought was very good. And maybe even Connor Cody at Wolves.
Yeah.
One person who you could also put in there, if they actually did get the full season, was Emerick Laporte. Once he went missing for City, City's title chances went missing too.
I think I agree with you with the Virgil van Dijk and Soyuncu partnership then. Soyuncu is almost like, I think you said on the last show, Leicester's Village.
Yeah.
Right. Ross, we got left back. Obviously, Stevens was in with a shout. And then how could you not mention Andy Robertson?
For me, it's Andy Robertson all day long. He is the left back version of Trent Alexander-Arnold. The amount of assists he provides from left back. And it's not all about assists, obviously. Playing left back after the defence, but I think he's a shoe in there. I really do think so. Honourable mentions, of course, Enda Stevens, probably Ben Chilwell, and maybe even Lucas Digne as well from Everton.
What about I know he only played half the season. What about Ashley Young before he left to go to Milan?
If you included his Milan stats in there, you might have a chance. He's done very well over there.
Do you know what's just Liverpool? The way they play is so brilliant. The way they have the midfielders to get the ball as quick as they can to the forwards. But if that attacking six isn't working, they can always fall back on their fullbacks to cross the ball in and be extra outlets, which no other team in the league are able to do. But it works especially well because they have a natural right footer, a right back, and a natural left footer, a left back. And when you can open up the play that much, no team is going to be able to stop that. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. It's absolutely frightening how good that Liverpool system that Klopp has inbred is.
Yeah, so
they're dangerous all over.
Yeah, so
also just saying on the centre half spasm, I want to say Joe Gomez was actually excellent for Liverpool this year, but because he plays beside Van Dijk, probably gets no plaudits.
Yeah, true. So far we have Pope and goal, right back Trent, Alexander-Arnold, centre backs Virgil van Dijk and Soyuncu, and left back Robertson. Right, Ross, we're going to go for the 3 men in midfield. I think I'm going to kick it off with Kevin De Bruyne, who I believe should have been the Sports Writer Player of the Year, but unfortunately didn't get the vote.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it was 10 or 11 goals and 20 assists this season. Only Kevin De Bruyne and Thierry Henry have got over 20 Premier League assists in one campaign. That's the entire club, no more, no less. He'd be my first name on the team sheet this season. He has done some impressive things this year for Man City.
Russ, if an alien came down and he was like, "What's the story, Beano?" and you'd be, "Who's the best centre mid in the Premier League?" and you said Kevin De Bruyne, and then he said, "Who's that?" and it's like, well, why is that? How could you describe Kevin De Bruyne to someone that doesn't know anything about football?
I would say his vision, his passing ability, his eye for goal, his selflessness as well. They're all his key attributes that I think make him one of the best midfielders in the world, to be honest.
And also, he's come back from that injury. He was sort of slightly injury prone last year, and that doesn't seem to be affecting him this year. Johnny Giles and Eamon Dunphy don't actually believe he's actually as good as he's hyped up to be, but on this one, I can't agree with the two lads there. So Ross, we have two more positions. I think there has to be a shout for Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson's had an absolutely brilliant season. He's had the best season he's ever had in a Liverpool shirt. And in terms of football ability, you wouldn't overly pick Jordan Henderson in your team. You wouldn't be like...
Yeah, then what is it about
brilliant.
Jordan Henderson?
But his communication skills...
Yeah, so what is it about Jordan Henderson? Sorry about that.
Jordan Henderson, I think it's the communication skills that really set him apart from everyone. He is constantly talking on the pitch. He is constantly at Keita, Fabinho, Milner, Ox, whoever's there alongside him. And he defines a leader these days. I mean, you see him off the pitch, on the pitch. He really, really does it all. And I think that's what's really set him apart this year from other players and other captains.
That's actually very true. What other captains do you see around the Premier League that you think are in that, if the correct word is, echelon of what a captain really is or embodies? Yeah, forehead.
To be honest, I actually don't see any other captain in there, but especially from the top six. If you take, like, Maguire, doesn't really cut it for me. You take Aubameyang, like, he's almost just because he's their best player. There you go. You're a captain. Who's the Man City captain at the moment? Is it David Silva? But he's gone now, so, like, that's not really relevant anymore. And then what, Chelsea? I don't even know who the Chelsea captain is.
Azpilicueta.
I don't really see him with that level of communication on the pitch. Like, he's probably just almost the longest servant there. So, in terms of that level of leadership, that level of dedication, and he seems like one of those people who just has a very high level of attention to detail. It's almost like a nicer version of Roy Keane, you might even say.
Yeah, he's almost just realised that he's not amazing at anything, but his teamwork and effort is something that he can dedicate himself to and become better and better. And his long balls are pretty good as well. He's all, like, knowing the three lads in front of him and that he can just, like, ping the ball to them. Like, knowing what's around him is one of his key assets.
And he's also chipped in on the goal front once or twice this year, which is not what he's renowned for at all. I think he scored 5 goals this year, which is probably like an all-time high for him.
Yeah, and you know what, it's crazy. Like, when he was younger, people were like, "Oh, they should get rid of him, this, that, and the other." And then seeing how he stuck around and what's happened to him, like, fair play to him, you know that. Right, so we have Kevin De Bruyne, Jordan Henderson, and who was the third centre mid you're going to add to that?
To me, I picked Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. He came in, took Manchester United from a mid-table side to finishing third in the Premier League. After the restart of the Premier League, and since he's come in there, I think there's been like 10 or 11 games since Bruno Fernandes has arrived, and he's been man of the match probably in 6 or 7 of them. I don't think I've ever seen one person ever come into a club and turn a club on its head the way he's done it. He's very much so turned them around, and the amount of goals and assists he's gotten at Manchester United. I know people like to joke and say how many of them were penalties. It doesn't matter. He put the ball in the back of the net, and he set up a lot of goals. He's been the main man in Old Trafford ever since he's arrived, and he's been the third midfielder I'd have in my team this season.
Do you think he should become the new Man United captain?
Is that
too much pressure? Is that too much pressure?
I think there's a definite opportunity for that. I think the way he, like, bigs up the players and the way he sort of, you know, almost pushes people to spur on the team, I think that's a definite possibility. But for whatever reason, I just don't see them taking it off Harry Maguire.
Either do I. Is there anyone else we can mention now? Because the Bruno, I know he only played half season, but because the year was the Premier League season was dragged out longer, he was technically there longer than half the season, and I'd have to go for Bruno as well. So, like, Kevin De Bruyne, Jordan Henderson, Bruno Fernandes. But is there anyone else that was sort of pushing in there that rings a bell? Yeah,
I think Jack Grealish obviously had an incredible season from Aston Villa, and, like, he definitely dragged them out of the relegation zone next to single-handedly. He put in some incredible performance for them there. Ndidi at Leicester is, like, incredible. Like, in terms of defensive midfielders in the Premier League, he'd probably be up there to be the best in the entire league. His ability to read the game, his interceptions, and, like, that blanket in front of the front four of your defence is next to none, I think, at the Premier League. So I'd probably say those two would stand out to me. And then I also thought Fabinho was very good for Liverpool this year. I think he adds like an era of calmness to the Liverpool team when he's there.
Yeah, I'll go with them as well then. So we have Kevin De Bruyne, Jordan Henderson, and Bruno Fernandes in the three-man midfield. That's a pretty good one if you're asking me. A lot of creativity there. But then we go for the front three, Ross. Who do you want to start with?
So front three, for me, I would probably go Salah on the right. I would have Jamie Vardy in the middle. And I'd pick Aubameyang on the left. They'd be my front three. Obviously, Mo Salah, absolutely incredible for Liverpool again this year. Scored some very vital goals. Jamie Vardy, top goal scorer in the league. I think that almost picks itself as your striker. And then I sort of went for Aubameyang. You could easily put Mane in there. If you wanted to put Mane in there, Baz, I'd be happy enough to put him. But in terms of carrying the side, I feel like Aubameyang has carried Arsenal. Mane was obviously probably scored more crucial goals than anyone this season for the Liverpool win the league. But there you have it. There's my front three.
Do you know what? I'll agree with you, but I'd actually put Mane in ahead of Salah and put him on the right.
Well, there you have it. I'm
like
completely happy with that.
Yeah, and like Vardy's top goal scorer, so you can't really argue that. And Aubameyang setting new records as well this season. So
he was the fastest Arsenal player ever to 50 goals, which is pretty impressive considering you had the likes of Henry and Ian Wright.
Yeah, I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even say Aubameyang's playing. You'd see him more of as a centre forward, but he's playing out on the left.
Yeah.
But Ross, who would you go for your player of the season?
My player of the season is the main man, the man in centre midfield for our team, Kevin De Bruyne. I thought he was absolutely sensational again this year. He was probably let down by some of his teammates. Again, there was like injury issues to Sergio Aguero, and then Pep Guardiola not getting a new centre half partner in for America Laporte was their detriment this year.
I'll actually go player of the season, Virgil Van Dyke. I think he was better last season, but he was still absolutely brilliant this year. Manager of the season, Ross.
For me, I am going to give Manager of the Year to Chris Wilder, Sheffield United manager. I went back and watched our prediction for the start of the season, and I predicted Sheffield United would finish last in the Premier League, and they went out and they finished, I think, was it ninth in the end?
Yeah.
Great year for them. He took a championship squad, and even the players he signed, like McBurney, were what everyone deemed to be championship players, and he turned them into Europa League contenders. He pushed the likes of Wolves, Manchester United, Chelsea, right to the brink, and Leicester. And I don't think any other manager would get that much out of the players that he did.
Yeah, I think COVID definitely didn't help them when things came back. I think where did they play? Is it Bramall Lane?
Yeah.
I think that like embodied the 12th man. I'm just going to have to go for Jurgen Klopp this season just because he got Liverpool to win the league. You know what I mean? But we'll then go into signing of the season, Ross. It's an interesting
signing of the season. Now, as a Manchester United fan, the obvious choice is to pick Bruno Fernandes, but that's not who I'm going to pick. For me, the signing of the season this year was Danny Ings for Southampton. And I'll tell you why it's Danny Ings for Southampton. Without his 20-odd goals that he scored for Southampton would have definitely been relegated. There's no way they would have stayed up without Danny Ings up front. Shane Long didn't score enough goals. Che Adams didn't score enough goals. Danny Ings single-handedly kept Southampton in the Premier League this year, and he is my sign of the season. And I've never been happier for someone for a career comeback either.
Yeah, man. That's actually great to see that someone who I think he had two massive injuries for Liverpool, and then came back. And do you think Southampton will be able to keep him this season now?
It's going to be a very interesting one. I'm sure there will be teams sniffing around for him, but who's he going to go to? Chelsea now have Werner. I don't think he'll go to Man United. Liverpool would probably love to have him back as a backup, but I don't think he'll go there as backup. And then, Spurs have Harry Kane, and he's not going to want to sit back up to there. I always said he'd be the perfect replacement maybe for Jamie Vardy, but Jamie Vardy probably not going anywhere just yet either. So he might be sort of waiting around in no man's land, and I don't think City are going to go for him. So he might, stick around Southampton, which is great for them.
Maybe being English is to his detriment as well, because it hypes up the price. But speaking of being English, he could have been with a shout to go to the Euros.
Yeah, well, he still could be for the 2021 side. Was there any other signings that you thought were good this year, Basmo?
Well, the one Bruno Fernandes stood out like a sore thumb. Just watching United before and after, like two different teams.
Yeah. Also, I think Christian Pulisic, like his move came official to Chelsea this year. Absolutely brilliant. And then Sam Maximin for Newcastle was actually very good for them. There's some of my honourable mentions.
Yeah. I think Bruno Fernandes just gets it for me. But Ross, flop of the season.
Flop of the season is a £40 million transfer to Geordie Shore, Newcastle. It's Joelinton.
What do you mean, man?
Flop of the season.
Most famous man in Newcastle, bar Gaz and Gaza.
Yeah. No, paying £40 million for someone who I actually don't know what his goal score record is, but I know for a fact he scored less than 5 goals. Is definitely my absolute flop of the season. I also want to say one person who I would pick as a flop of the season as a contender is actually Pep Guardiola. I think he did terrible in the league this year. Man City lost 9 games. They saw Vincent Kompany walk out the door, and they didn't get any replacement for him. Pep Guardiola just seems to be a man that you're not allowed to criticise whatsoever, though.
Although he was getting a bit of criticism pre-COVID.
But well, there you have it. Like, I mean, he only gets a little bit. You know what I mean?
I don't think it sells newspapers.
Yeah, I don't think it does. But I think 18 points off Man City, or 18 points Man City were behind Liverpool. Pep Guardiola has a few questions he needs to answer.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for flop as being Pepe, just for how much money it was. I know obviously it's his first season, so we'll see what happens. But I just remember when he signed, all the Gunners were like pointing, like slagging everyone. That's like, yes, we got him, yeah. And he hasn't really done anything, to be honest.
That's absolutely fair enough. You know what we'll do? I think we take our predictions for Manager of the Year and all that, and we do a few polls on the gram.
Yeah, that's not a bad show.
Yeah. I think that's what wraps it up, doesn't it?
I think that Ross, I'm pretty sure that does wrap things up. Obviously, Championship playoff final is going to be Fulham versus Brentford. That's going to be on the 4th, if I'm not mistaken.
One last question for you, Basmo. On the thumbnail now, right? Yeah. Who do you think win in a 2-on-2 match? DT and Aubameyang or Lampard and Abramovich?
DT and Aubameyang.
Oh, I go for Abramovich and Lampard. I think those Russian snipers standing on the ground shooting the knees off people.
I'd go Aubameyang and DT because like Aubameyang's still actually playing, like, and I don't know where they could have the game because isn't Abramovich still barred from going to England?
I don't know if that's over and done with yet. To be honest, I don't say too up to date on the Russian politics, you
know. Too up to date, but Ross, we will be back again next week because the Champions League and Europa League return. Europa League's back next Wednesday, and the Champions League is back on the Friday. So the countdown's on.
The countdown is on.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.
Stay energized, guys.